Iran just answered the question every defense analyst has been asking since this war began. Not whether Iran would strike Dimona again, whether Iran could strike Dimona in a way that Israel's air defenses cannot reliably stop. This morning, that question was answered. Iran confirmed it used the Fattah-2 hypersonic glide vehicle missile in a second strike on the Dimona nuclear facility, and simultaneously announced a formal strategic posture shift that I need you to understand precisely, because the headline version is not capturing what it actually means. The announcement stated that Iran is transitioning from defensive retaliation to offensive degradation operations targeting nuclear infrastructure. Those are not synonyms. Defensive retaliation means you respond to attacks. Offensive degradation means you execute a sustained campaign designed to systematically destroy a specific capability. Iran just declared that disabling Israel's nuclear program is now its primary declared war aim. And it chose the Fattah-2, the weapon that Israel's current air defense architecture was not optimally designed to defeat, to make that declaration kinetic. Before we go deeper, hit the subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. The combination of a hypersonic weapon, a declared offensive doctrine shift, and a nuclear facility target creates an escalatory architecture that the next 48 to 72 hours will either contain or accelerate into something no living person has experienced. Subscribe now. I will wait. Here is the fast version of this morning's events. Iran launched a Fattah-2 hypersonic glide vehicle missile at Dimona. The missile's terminal phase, maneuvering at speeds between Mach 13 and Mach 15, was not intercepted by Israel's Arrow system or its remaining Patriot batteries. Impact was confirmed in the Dimona complex. Israel's Atomic Energy Commission activated its highest-level emergency protocols. Radiation monitoring data is being collected and has not yet produced a confirmed release beyond the perimeter. The IRGC simultaneously issued a formal statement declaring the completion of what it called Phase 1 defensive operations and the beginning of Phase 2 offensive nuclear infrastructure degradation. The statement named Dimona, Nevatim Air Base, and the Sdot Micha missile base as primary Phase 2 targets. 3 targets. One is a nuclear facility. One is Israel's primary F-35 base. One houses Jericho ballistic missiles, Israel's nuclear-capable land-based delivery system. Iran just published its target list for the next phase of strikes. And the weapon it is using to execute that list is the one missile currently deployed in this conflict that Israel's air defenses cannot reliably defeat. Let me explain the Fattah-2's specific relevance to Dimona with the technical precision this requires. I covered the Fattah-2's general capabilities in the Raphael strike analysis. What is specific to the Dimona application is this. The facility's hardened architecture was designed to defeat penetrating munitions arriving on conventional ballistic trajectories. The GBU-57 penetrator bomb, the weapon used in the Natanz strikes, delivers its penetrating mass on a near-vertical terminal trajectory optimized for depth penetration into reinforced concrete. Dimona's protective architecture, built over 60 years, was engineered around that threat. The Fattah-2 does not arrive on a vertical terminal trajectory. Its hypersonic glide vehicle approaches at a shallower angle, at higher speed, with a different impact geometry than the threat the bunkers were built to defeat. That shallower angle, at Mach 13 to 15, does not necessarily penetrate as deeply as a vertical penetrating bomb, but it reaches sections of the facility's surface and near-surface infrastructure that vertical penetrators approach less efficiently. Iran may not be trying to reach the deepest storage bunkers with the Fattah-2. It may be targeting the access infrastructure, the ventilation systems, the power supply, and the personnel movement corridors that make the deepest bunkers functional. Disabling a nuclear weapons facility does not require destroying the weapons. It requires destroying the facility's ability to operate. Now, what nobody is covering with sufficient analytical depth. Iran's Phase 2 declaration contains a specific phrase that every arms control analyst I have read this morning has flagged, but that no mainstream outlet has foregrounded. The IRGC statement described Phase 2 as nuclear infrastructure degradation operations against the Zionist entity's first strike capability. That phrase is doing enormous strategic work. Iran is not claiming it is targeting Israel's nuclear weapons in response to an Israeli nuclear threat. Iran is claiming it is executing a preemptive degradation of Israel's ability to use nuclear weapons first. That framing transforms the operation from retaliation, which has one set of legal and strategic implications, into preemptive non-proliferation enforcement, which has a completely different set. Iran is constructing a legal and moral argument, however contested, that it is preventing a first strike rather than committing one. That argument is designed to hold China and Russia's diplomatic support, to split European opinion, and to make any Israeli response appear as confirmation of the aggressive posture Iran is attributing to it. Whether the argument is accurate is secondary to the fact that it is being constructed deliberately and systematically. Okay, I have to be fair. The other side has a point. First, the Fattah-2's performance in this specific engagement has not been independently assessed. Iran's claim of a confirmed hit must be evaluated against its consistent pattern of overstating strike effects throughout this conflict. Israel's Atomic Energy Commission confirming emergency protocols does not confirm the extent of damage. Emergency protocols activate at a lower threshold than actual damage requires. Second, Israel's remaining air defense capacity, depleted as it is, may have achieved a partial intercept of the Fattah-2's approach that degraded its terminal accuracy, even if it did not achieve full destruction. A proximity detonation near Dimona is strategically different from a direct impact on critical infrastructure. Third, Iran's Phase 2 declaration may be a psychological operation designed to force Israel to divert resources to protective measures for 3 additional targets simultaneously, stretching its already depleted defense posture, rather than a firm operational plan that Iran has the resources and precision to execute. The declaration costs Iran nothing if it degrades Israeli decision-making before a single additional missile is fired. But here is where I have to be direct. Iran is using the specific weapon that Israel's current air defense architecture cannot reliably defeat against the specific target that Israel's entire security doctrine is built around protecting. The Fattah-2 against Dimona is not a random weapons target pairing. It is the result of a systematic analysis of what weapon exceeds Israeli defense capabilities and what target, if degraded, most disrupts Israeli strategic calculations. That analysis has been executed and is being implemented, and the formal doctrine shift from defensive retaliation to offensive degradation tells you this is not a one-time strike. It is the beginning of a sustained campaign against a defined target set. Here is what you need to watch. Israel's response designation is the most critical immediate signal. If Israel characterizes this strike as an attack on its nuclear deterrent rather than as damage to a research facility, that characterization unlocks a response framework that operates under entirely different rules than conventional military retaliation. Watch the American response to the Phase 2 declaration. The United States has treaty and policy commitments to Israel's security. Whether Washington characterizes Iran's declared offensive nuclear infrastructure degradation campaign as crossing a threshold that requires qualitatively different American involvement will define the next chapter of this conflict. And watch the IAEA's radiation data from the second Dimona strike. If any isotopes are detected beyond the perimeter following this strike that were not detected following the first, the damage profile has changed materially and the radiological risk calculus for the region has changed with it. Subscribe now. Turn on notifications. When Israel's official response designation is issued, I will analyze every word. When the American statement on the Phase 2 declaration lands, I will cover it immediately. When the IAEA radiation data from this strike is released, I will break it down in real time. Iran chose the Fattah-2. Iran chose Dimona. Iran declared a doctrine shift. Evidence first, analysis second. You decide what it means. This is today.